morning, footprinters. It's Chrissy here. Very early morning on Thursday, I think it's the 20th. I'm not sure. It's either the 19th or the 20th of August. Monday was the 17th. No, Monday was the 16th, Tuesday the 17th, Thursday the 18th. Today's the 19th of August. Okay. Yeah, I got up a bit early and that stuff, so I thought I'd do a reading in the quiet of the morning. It's just after 6 o'clock here in Western Australia, AM. Anyway, I was just checking things out and I saw a comment from Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. And also welcome any new viewers. And on my, is Trump going to be the nominee? And she suggested maybe John Kasich or Mitt Romney. So I thought I'd have a wee look. I haven't looked at those two before. I've looked at Bill Weld, Mark Sanford, and a brief one on Joe Walsh, but I thought, well, I'd have a quick squiz and see about these two. So I think we'll start off with John Kasich. Now, I'm aware that he is a governor from, I'm sorry, I'm a bit bad with, it's either Washington or Idaho, one of those states on the west coast. He is very keen, just move that a bit. As you're probably aware, I've been just having my notes around recently because I like to do that every now and then to reacquaint myself with just some of the basics, because you can get with a lot of different decks, and I love using all my decks, and there's so many different iconographies and so many different approaches you can use to, and you know, sometimes I like to get back to basics and just have the notes there. So I've just got my good old blue tarot card there. Anyway, so we'll go John Kasich. Will John Kasich be the Democratic nominee? 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 Okay, so off we go. Put the camera down. Eight. Actions, swift actions, things happening fast. So if he does enter the race, I think it will be very quickly out of the blue, and any decision will be pretty quick about him. The situation, well, it's a good start, so we'll see if this continues. He's got the victory card straight off. Celebrate person victory. So that's really good. Now I'm using the one of my decks that I have upright, but I have my Victorian Steampunk Tarot cards, which I do have reversals in for clarification. So anyway, so his challenge. Okay. His challenge is transition or death. Now, that doesn't mean that he's got health issues or anything like that, or threats. But the challenge is the Republican Party. I think, in my view, the Republican Party as it is just, it's no more. It's a dead entity. It's just a corpse, and it needs new life breathed into it. And that's what he's going to have to do to show that he can breathe new life into the Republican Party, that he can basically revive it to what it used to be before, not just before Trump, but before Newt Gingrich and Mitch McConnell got their grubby hands on it back in the 80s. So the focus for him, he's going to have to focus on getting Republicans, rank and file Republicans, those Republicans out there, and the Republicans who hold the power for nomination, all that, getting his focus is going to have to be getting them to see through all the trickery and, you know, magic tricks that Trump and his gang have been pulling. But the good news is that's got to have to be his focus. But as always with the magician card, you'll see that he has all four suits available to him. So he has everything he needs to do that, plus an infinite amount of wisdom and experience. In the past, well, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. So there's a certain element of destiny here. In the past, I'm not quite sure of his full political history, but he did end up becoming a governor of his state, so he would have worked hard to do that. I don't think it was fluke. I think he was destined to end up where he was, and if there's an element of destiny there that could be brought forward into the future. So he was put where he is at the moment for a reason, and whether that's to bring him into a position to challenge for the nomination or not is something we'll hopefully see. The present with John Kasich. Presently, he's out in the cold a bit. He has been a never Trumper from the start. He has not been afraid to criticise and be very blunt about Trump and even about his minions and the way that members of the Republican Party have been acting, and that has put him out in the cold with the Republican Party. So he's going to have to overcome that as well. And that goes back to the Republican Party as it was being a corpse, basically, because the Republican Party as it is not welcoming to him, and he's going to need to breathe new and different life into it. His near future. Wow, his near future is he's going to be feeling a little bit imprisoned. He's going to be feeling a little bit bound up and restricted. He's got very little wriggle room in the near future. That's not to say he won't have more in the future, further along the line, but at the moment in his immediate future, and this is a minor arcana, so it's not long term, he's going to be very bound and restricted with what he can do and what he can get out of the Republican Party. What's in his environment? The Fool. Now this isn't, one might immediately think this is Trump, but it also signifies a new start, a new journey. he's getting an awful lot of major arcana cards. This is the fourth major arcana. One has been adverse to him so far, but the other two have been positive towards him. Well, this one's a 50-50, having to get people to see through those tricks, but having all the tools to do that. And this was very much in his favour. This, I think, is also in his favour, is that I think a lot of people are realising, a lot of Republicans out there are realising the huge mistake they made with Trump and the huge mess that their party is in. And I think a lot of them are starting to feel that the Republican Party has to start anew on a fresh journey to find out what it's really about, what its foundational beliefs really are and should be, and what direction they should head in the future, because they're going to have to, some of their foundational beliefs are just not relevant to today's world, and in fact could hamper them. But there's a lot of the very belief in their foundation that are very relevant. I tend to think that if they go and have a look at Nelson Rockefeller's speeches from the 60s and the 70s, that he was a Republican ahead of his time, and I think he could be one of the people they should go back and look at what he spoke about when he was in office and everything. So there's a need for for the Republicans to take a new journey, and that's in his environment, and I think that's a positive thing in his environment. But also he's got to deal with a lot of fools along the way. It's unfortunately a lot of the Republicans who can help this are Trumpists, so he's got to really sway those people who've been supporting Trump. Number 8 is, what do others see? Others see a party that's full of hidden agendas, people in power who are full of hidden agendas, and I think they're not really ready to trust anyone at the moment. Others see a party that's full of hidden agendas, and I do think others see that on that side, full of hidden agendas, but on the other side they see someone who is wise, who has the wisdom and the knowledge to lead the party in a new direction and with a new agenda. And I think if we add those two together, a new direction and that's my reading on that, is that this card really, others see someone who can bring his wisdom to bear, bring a new agenda forth, and take the party on a new journey, which it badly needs. Okay, what's in his fear? His fear is that he's not going to be able to make that all-important partnership with the Republican Party. That's pretty self-explanatory. What's in his hope? His hope is that enough Republicans have the foresight and the vision to follow his leadership. That's what he hopes. This is, a lot of people say that this is plans coming to fruition and stuff. Your boat's coming in, your plans coming to fruition, but it's also about foresight and vision. Okay, and and it's also about showing strong leadership. So that's what he hopes enough people will realise. So what's the outcome? Now this is interesting. I said earlier that he has been frozen out a bit. So he isn't relatively in the hermit space at the moment, having been frozen out by a lot of the Republican Party. But here, the hermit is coming back, and he's got his staff, and it's alight with wisdom and knowledge. And he's handing it over. So, and he's bringing that wisdom and knowledge back to, I think this represents the Republican Party, and they're taking hold of the staff. This could mean, and this is my interpretation with the card after all this reading, because he has got a lot of major arcana here. This could mean that he could very well get the Republican nomination. So with the number of major arcana, I don't think he's going to put his hat in the ring this year. I think it will be next year sometime, possibly January or February, closer to the time. I think he might do some exploratory stuff, but actually really stepping in there and doing that. I think if he does exploratory stuff, he's going to be doing it quietly. So things are, it's going to be a bit of a tough journey, but I think overall John Kasich has a very good chance of becoming the Republican nominee. And I think he's, from what I've seen of him on the times I've seen him speaking, he is very measured and wise, and he realises that changes have to be made within the party itself, and he's the person to do that. I've just noticed a shirt hanging there. I'm really, really sorry. I normally hang my work clothes there, but it's very early in the morning. Anyway, that is my reading on John Kasich. I'm just going to cards back in, grab another deck, different deck completely, and then I shall do Mitt Romney. Okay, so I am back with a different deck, and I'm now going to take a look at Mitt Romney. John Kasich's cards were pretty clear. Didn't really need to put any clarifications on there. But we'll see what happens with Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, I know it's from the southern part of the Arizona or Texas or something like that, compatriot of John McCain. I think people have been looking at him to show a stronger presence and a bit more leadership, and he's shown signs of that and then backed off. A bit like Jeff Flake and Bob Corker and all those who, yeah. Yeah, if I were those guys, I'd be stepping up again in the next round of elections, and I'd be challenging people in their seat who are maybe up for the Republicans who have seats where they're eligible to apply, and maybe just, you know, stepping up and challenging them. You never know. Anyway, Mitt Romney. What are his chances of getting the nomination? Knight of Pentacles. He's very steady. He looks into the details a lot. He might be offered financial money, but this can also be the card of the mercenary, so whether or not it's the right sort, he's got to find the right measure. He's got to be cautious if he's going to do it, especially about where money's going to come from for it. Okay, so his situation, the moon. There's a lot about things about him that may come to light if he does put his hat in the ring. So some things that have been hidden. So unfortunately that's not the best start, not necessarily the worst either, because it can also mean that he is extremely intuitive. But I just feel he gets confused. I think that if he does put his hat in the ring, he's got to be careful not to be confused. But he is very intuitive. But there are things that, could come to light as well. If people don't want you there, they'll do anything to get rid of you. So, including looking at everything and try to bring things to light. But he is very intuitive, but he could end up in a bit of a confusing position for himself. What's his challenge? Challenge is the King of Cups. To me, this has been Trump. This has always been Trump for me. A lot of people see the King of Cups as Putin, but for me, in most cases, occasionally with the King of Wands and the King of Swords because of different aspects. But in this case, it's Trump. If he puts his hat in the ring too soon, Trump is going to jump in, and he's emotionally unstable, and he will just blurt forth all sorts of stuff that can confuse the issue. So remember, there's an aspect of confusion with the moon as well. And Trump is, if Mitt Romney does anything, Trump's going to be on him like a log. So he's got to be really, really careful on how he goes about it, because Trump will lose his mind if anyone gets the nomination, or if the Republican Party decide they're going to even accept primary nominations, or run primaries, which quite a few states have decided they haven't. I'm going to have a look at that in a few days and see if they're going to change their mind, because okay, what's the focus of the situation from Mitt Romney? It's money, it's resources, it's he's got to be prudent. He's got to be careful. But it's about money with him. That's a bit of a difference from the focus for John Kasich. For John Kasich, it was about getting people to see through the trickery and having everything at hand he needs to do it. For Mitt Romney, it's about money. I think that and having the resources, I think that very few pentacles, if any, came up for John Kasich. So I think that maybe it also just shows a little bit of difference in their base character as well. But I don't know either man. So there always seemed to be a bit of an element of weakness for me about Mitt Romney. That's my personal opinion, where I've only ever seen strength when I've heard John Kasich talk and when I've seen him. Okay, the past, Queen of Pentacles, resourceful. He's relied heavily upon the resources and help of others to get where he has. That's what screams out at me. I would think that Rebecca Burson was maybe a very big backer of him. But the focus is on money now, maybe he might be turning towards her again to see if she will back him in any way. So he's relied heavily upon the resources and monetary backing of others in the past. At present, what's happening with Mitt? Mitt Romney's looking to form new partnerships. So he's not sitting back and saying, no, I'm not going to. He's considering it. He's looking at who he can form alliances with and create relationships with. So that's really interesting. I'm just going to move the cards over a little bit. In the near future for Mitt Romney, Page of Cups, he's going to receive some news. And it's good news. I mean, the Page of Cups generally tends to be good news, and so it's news he should trust his gut. When he hears it, he's going to get a gut feeling about it, whatever the news is, and he's going to he should act on that gut feeling, should act on his intuition about it. Cups are about intuition as well, and so he should act on his gut feeling about the news that he's going to receive. What's in his environment? Oh, strategy and the theory of others. Someone's plotting to take away some of his resources, to leave him a bit short-handed. So it's not the best environment around him at the moment. It's not someone looking for a new start or a new journey. It's not that. It's whoever, somebody's in his environment around him who's looking to take resources possibly, or steal his fire, steal his thoughts, his words. Possibly it's himself. Perhaps he finds it hard to put across what he wants. He lacks the verbal strategy that can get a message across. So again, having a think, it's about your intellectual and your resources and your ability to use words and your ability to track down the truth. And I think in this case, in his environment, I think he lacks a bit of confidence in that area. And that can rob him of his ability to get his message across properly. When I say someone, it might not necessarily be another person. It could, in this case, someone stealing. In this case, I think it's maybe himself, a little bit of self-sabotage happening there. What do others see? Others see someone who lets his fears and anxieties maybe overwhelm him a little bit too much. They don't see him as strong enough to really basically pull this off. What are his hopes? He hopes that he can offer new actions, new ideas, new strategies. That's what he hopes. I've got hopes and fears mixed up, but I've called this hope, so I'll put that in the hope position. Okay, so his fear no, this is his fear, sorry. His fear is that someone will come along with better ideas, better strategies, better courses of action. Sorry about that. I got the two positions mixed up. And he hopes that even if that happens, he can outrun them. He can still achieve victory over them. But if he does, it will take him quite a while to do that. That is a major arcana. It's not something that would happen quickly or in a short amount of time. He's got a few major arcana as well, but they're not as positive. I mean, the Lovers, again, major arcana. He's working on forging new relationships, but it's going to take him a while. Okay, sorry about the hopes and fears, getting them mixed up. It's, okay, what's the outcome for Mitt Romney? King of Wands. Immediately again, I thought Trump. No. But I might clarify that, because this could be him in a position to offer wisdom and guidance. That could be Mitt in a position to offer wisdom and guidance. But I feel it's Trump. If he goes up against Trump and tries to get the nomination from him, I think Trump would be the winner here. And he would spill his vitriol all over Mitch for even trying. So I'm going to get a clarification on that. I don't have anything against Mitt Romney. I live in Australia. Most of your politicians and everything, yes, there are a few I have very poor opinion of. But most of them, I don't really know them, and I'm pretty objective either way. And I think that's the best way to be. And where I'm not objective, I do ask for clarity and objectivity. I do that every time. I do prayers before I start my readings, and I ask for that. So, let's get a clarification on this King of Wands. Seven of Beetles. This is the Reap What You Sow card. But it's also the stepping back and assessing. And I think, do I have enough? Have I done enough? And I think in this case, it's in assessing, does he have enough resources, intelligence, wisdom? Does he have enough of everything that's needed to beat Trump? I think that's a negative on that. So, in my interpretation here, things aren't looking that good for Mitt Romney as far as taking on Trump goes, or even getting the primary, getting the nomination to run for president. Yeah, the major arcanas that do show up, or one of them doesn't show the best, and one is in a hope position. So it's like the other one is it doesn't have nearly as many powerful cards as John Kasich does, and the other one is he's got the Lovers, and he's got to forge new relationships, and that's going to take him a long time to do for whatever reason. And he's also a bit too dependent on the resources of others, money-wise, and he's also, people don't see him as a strong enough person to do it. So that is my reading on Mitt Romney. Thinking back, I think I said there were no pentacle cards for John Kasich. I think there might have been one. It was in a very different position with a different reading, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me with this, and I love you all, footprinters, and I'll see you at the next reading.